Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Core 4 Show. I'm Coach Brandon, and I'm here to help you guys understand what it is that Core 4 does, why we do it, and how we do it. And I put a special shirt on today called MPs Pay Me Daily. And I bought this shirt. And I bought this shirt because I was part of a program that had media packages, is what it was called. And so I don't have those media packages anymore. I paid for this shirt. I thought it was appropriate because today we're going to talk a little bit about how to break ourselves from our 9 to 5. And a lot of us are fearful, and we have to know what that fear is coming from. You know, I would say that I've been gullible. I've been hopeful. I've been trying my best to take my family to a higher level and break through the ceilings and be able to have financial freedom and all the rest of those things that go along with it. And what all of it has led me to is Core 4. And what does Core 4 mean? Core 4 basically means that you keep your money in your wallet. You keep your money to yourself. You keep your money in a position where you're able to grow your capital because it is you actively that's doing the work. And unfortunately, for so many of us, we have been lazy and said, oh, I don't have time for that. I would rather somebody else handle my money. I would rather somebody else do whatever. And then we can blame them when it doesn't work, when really we should be looking at ourselves. Well, I didn't get that level of education. Well, if you didn't get that level of education, did you deserve the kind of money that you thought you were going to get? Really think about that. Did you deserve the money that you thought you were going to get? And so if that's the case, yes. And if it's the case, no, it really doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference is that once you send your money somewhere else, do you have implicit trust of the person that's giving you a return on investment? So where we break the 9 to 5 is through mindset, through educating ourselves and understanding that there are ways where we don't need to be rocket scientists, but we can follow simple methods to try to increase our revenue. So on tonight's show, and I'm going to start doing more of this, we're going to keep things in-house. And what do I mean by that? We can have guests come on and all the rest of that stuff, and that's great. But the reality is what are we doing to keep the money in our wallet? What are we doing on a weekly basis to try to improve our bottom line without sacrificing our integrity to say that we've given our money to someone else, and so we're hoping for that level of success? So we created the Core 4 coefficient, which some of you guys can watch some of our previous episodes, and you guys can see how the Core 4 coefficient works, how the Core 4 quadrant works, and why it works, to know that if you are going to give your money for a return on investment, here's the way you do it. So we're going to stay away from crypto platforms. And why are we staying away from crypto platforms? Because they have a history of not working. So you can make money quickly. And making money quickly, is that a good thing? Yeah, it's a great thing. But if you're making money quickly, but you can't see it being sustainable because the model that's working is not really, it doesn't really pass the Core 4 coefficient test, then probably you shouldn't be doing it. And so you might have all of these people out here, these wonderful, wonderful people that are telling you that either they're making money or they know somebody that's making that money, and we can do it too. You know, somebody contacted me this week and said, hey, I'll pay you $200 to $800 an hour. And I said, why me? And so they were like, oh, well, you were probably on some lists and, you know, all the rest of the stuff. So I said, sure, let me just give it a listen. And they said, well, here's the WhatsApp, and we're going to contact you through WhatsApp. And I said, okay. So they contacted me through WhatsApp, and they're saying, you know, you'll make, after you fill out the survey, they're going to pay $100 to fill out the survey. And then after the survey is filled out, then we're going to go in deeper. And by going in deeper, that means that I will do the training. And then from the training, I'll get an additional $200. And then they'll start paying $200 to $800 a day. All I had to do, there's no video. All I had to do was sign in and sign up for a website. And so did I do it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And is it because it's too good to be true? Sure. We can start there. But you can't really tell me that you don't know my skill sets. You're just going to pay me this amount of money, but you want me to register for a website that I've never seen before, never heard of anybody else doing anything like this before. And I elected not to. And I feel fantastic for it. Because what if it's a keystroke website where now, if I use that particular computer or that particular phone, every single time I touch it, they're able to follow my keystrokes because of something that I did that was ignorant. So, all I'm saying to you guys is there are so many scams, and we're going to talk about some of them later on today in the show that have really hurt so many of us because we are vulnerable to the idea that we can make money because we have to feed our families, feed ourselves, and gives ourselves an opportunity to have the liberty and the freedoms that we would want here in the United States or anywhere in the world. So, without further ado, just know that mindset is going to be important. Understanding that our goal is to get rid of our 9 to 5 traditionally. We can still work, but let's make it a labor of love. Then we also need to work on our retirement and we need to work on the kind of investments, and we promote active investments. And that's what I have evolved into, the Core 4 community has evolved into, and hopefully you will evolve into. So, as we start with every single week, we go through the Core 4 cast. And on the show, we have Chris Pulver, who's a good friend of mine, and he's one of the smartest people I know. And why is he so smart? Because he gets the work done and he's consistent. And I believe that for your retirement, this is 100% the way to go. And so Chris is on the show every week so that you can get to know him a little bit better. You can get to understand how he makes his decisions, where he gets his information from, how he calculates it, and then you get to see some real results. And that's what's important. And as you strategize for your success, what you're going to find is that people that are like Chris, that are like James, that are like Vaughn, that are like India, that are like Eric, and that are like so many other people that I work with, you're going to find that that level of trust and integrity is there and that coaching is there so that we can achieve our goals and do it in a safe, productive manner. That's the Core 4 way. So without further ado, Chris, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Brandon. Happy Sunday. Hey, Core 4, how we doing?
Happy Sunday. Well, you're up, buddy. And then after you're up, I want to talk a little bit about Streamwise before we bring James on.
Sure.
So just know that I know you're going to take about 3 minutes just to give us an update of what's happening.
Yep.
But just go ahead, go for it.
Okay, sounds good. So we've got a big week ahead. It's been, off to the start this year. It's been a fantastic melt up and carry forward through, the big holiday rally from November, December into January. Typically, what we see is we have these major leap expirations and options. So December volatility is low volume, but ultimately bullish for the most part. January, same type of thing. We just have a lot of low volume but high participation for major expirations and open interest. All that means is December, January typically are bullish, and we certainly saw it this year out of the gates. February, historically, is actually a bearish month, and same thing with March. The saying is always beware of the Ides of March. And what you're noticing on the chart right now, this is the SPX. We're just clinging to these highs. A couple things I wanted to bring your attention to tonight. If I go to the bottom left of my screen, this is an average true range of the SPX on a weekly time frame. All this means is 106 points is the expected move for the SPX. Okay. The last couple of weeks, I just wanted to measure this. So we're averaging about 106. We have the high at 5190 and the low at 5160. That's 130 points 2 weeks ago. And last week we had about 90 points. So, we're averaging out, like I said, right around 100 points. This week we have a major news week. We have 4 central bank rate decisions with the Reserve Bank of Australia, the Bank of Japan, the Fed, and the Swiss National Bank. All these banks have been in this pause cycle. They're essentially waiting for the Fed to make a move, maybe the Fed to blink. Maybe this is coming in May or June. We're going to certainly see some interesting language this week out of Jerome Powell with his press conference on Wednesday. And I do think that at the very least, we're going to spark a lot of volatility this week. So I am looking at these indexes to give back a little bit, and they certainly have. Off the highs right now, the highs we had, let's see, let's go weekly chart. This is 2 weeks back. The high is right around this 51.88 level. That high was, let me see if I can get this up there. The high is 51.89. So off of those highs, we have retraced a little bit. As of last week's close, we're down about 1.4% from the highs. Now, to me, that's not really big enough to call that a correction. I think that truly we need to have a 3 to 5% correction in order for the bulls to be interested in stepping back in to buy the dip. So I think that what lines up pretty perfectly on the technicals would be getting a move back into this Nvidia gap when we had the big earnings play Wednesday after market back on the 21st and 22nd of February. This gets us to about 3%. So 3% back to around 4% fills that gap. I think that offers the bulls a chance to buy in, see a nice little correction in the market. And I'm not saying it's all going to happen this week. Obviously, a 3% week to the downside would be huge. But from current price to fill the gap, we only have to go about 1.6% down, possibly 2.5. Now, the probabilities of that happening are very slim as far as the big move, but I do think that Jerome Powell is still going to keep the language very hawkish. If neutral, I don't think he's going to give the market what they want to hear. But of course, we're going to be interested to see if after one day of selling, does the market come back in and buy right away? But like I said, I'm looking for these levels to get hit. Now, the reason I bring up that 106-point average is because I want to share one of the strategies that I do for Streamwise. I do this every single week. Last week, gains that I had a positive gain on the QQQ, a gain on the SPY, a gain on the SPX several times. Costco, SLV, FXI, Amazon, Baidu, Crowdsource, and Alibaba. Those are all my wins last week in different stocks. Pretty good week overall. And you can see on the chart here, nothing happened, right? Price didn't go anywhere. We didn't have a bullish week, didn't have a bearish week. I just had profits. So I want to show something really quickly. Going into last week, we had the heat map. This is where the market finished last week. This is all of the S&P 500 for the weekly performance. What was interesting, you see this in the semiconductor space. AMD was down, AVGO was down, NVIDIA finished essentially flat at 0.35. What started to poke up? Microsoft hit all-time highs again. Apple coming off the lows at 170. Google well off the lows at 130. Meta was down a little bit, but Meta was also chasing NVIDIA for momentum this year out of the gates with like top 1 and 3 stocks of the year. Amazon's hanging in at 170 plus. Tesla is down to like 160. I'm curious if I can stay bid on Tesla. As long as we stay above like 140, 150, I'll be profitable there. But energy was pretty solid. We saw some tech sell, especially in the semiconductor space. So this was what we looked at from last week. I want to share something really quickly. This has been one of my week-to-week go-to strategies with Streamwise Capital, and it's been awesome. So I mentioned the 106 points. If this market moves 50 points this way or 50 points this way, I start to creep into these profit targets. So what I like about the strategy is this is my weak spot right there. And you notice where I put that. This dotted line right in the middle of my graph is exactly where price is at. And so near the close on Friday, I positioned for this. So going out to this week, Friday, and the following Monday, I have this strategy set up where as long as price Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday moves somewhere around 50 points, I can creep up into this profit wing. I can keep up to this profit wing. Obviously, if we go exceed 50 points, it gets up to one of my big pillars of profit right here. So what I like about the strategy is I have one way that I can lose. And typically, if I don't wait all the way to Friday, I can cut that loss in half. And I have, let's count the ways I can win. I have all of this for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have a lot of ways I can win. All I need price to do is move 50 points. Now, does it always happen? No, but 100 pips or 100 points average, all I need is about 50 to 60 points. I think we get that consistently on a week-to-week basis. Volatility is reasonable. I'm not going to say it's high. It's not low, but the SPX can certainly move 40, 50 points in a single day, let alone an entire week. So that bodes well for me. This is how I've been trading a lot week to week, which as I rattled off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wins last week for 1 loss. I will certainly take that. And like I said, Streamwise is doing really well. And again, big week, a lot of volatility. This is our last full week of trading for March. We end next Friday on the 28th before we're going to Good Friday and Easter weekend. But expect to buckle up for some big volatility with 4 central bank rates. And again, not really going to see any decisions. It's going to be pausing, but the narrative, the language, the economic outlooks, and the forward guidance is going to be really important.
Thank you, buddy. But let me ask you a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Streamwise,
Sure.
so people can understand. Is Streamwise a hedge fund?
No, it's a private fund with individually managed accounts. So I am the portfolio manager and the acting advisor. And again, not really going to see any decisions. It's going to be pausing, but the narrative, the language, the economic outlooks, and the forward guidance is going to be really important. And so I'm in the markets trading on behalf of clients. And so the clients have their own accounts. I'm given power of attorney and trading agent authority to manage. And so I go in and place the trades, manage trades, start to finish. And clients just can check in, see how their accounts are doing. And, it's full transparency. So individually managed accounts.
I love it. And so when you take a look at who your competition would be,
Mm-hmm.
you are going against hedge funds then.
I am, and I have no problem beating hedge funds. I have no problem beating the benchmarks. I mean, essentially, my job is I want to beat the benchmarks, and I want to beat benchmarks with net gains. So let's say that the S&P is up, 10% this year. Well, I want my firm, I want my clients to be generating at least 10% net after any type of performance fees. So my goal is to be making as much money as I possibly can with the safest possible risk. Typically week to week, I'm taking anywhere between like half to 1% risk for matching that on the upside. And oftentimes, matching that and exceeding that. So I am highly motivated with the trades that I'm taking and the clients that I have to show that an actively managed portfolio, up, down, or sideways, is going to be better off than buying and holding. Better off than what your financial advisors do by just simply sticking you in a bunch of low cost, mutual funds that are peddling their own products. So it's just an actively managed portfolio. Trade the indexes, take advantage of volatility, take advantage of the seasonal tops and bottoms, and just be agile. I mean, clients can't afford to, go through a 2022 drawdown and then get scared and then want to get out at the worst possible time. They can't afford the emotional swings of COVID or crashes or bubbles or whatever the heck we've got going on out there. These are going to keep happening. So the worst part about typical investors is they want to panic when the market's finding bottoms because we've had a sell-off and a correction, and they want to, buy into highs because I think now's the time to get back in. So they time it wrong. And, I don't care what direction the market goes. I just need week to week volatility position to make money.
So how well has Streamwise done this quarter?
This quarter, I can crunch the numbers. I know for the month so far, I think year to date, I just posted this last week. I know I was talking with one of my associates. We were sitting around 8% year to date. So out of the gates, and again, let me say year to date. So this is the sector tracker for the year to date. The S&P as a whole. Let me click in this and get it updated here. Year to date on the S&P for the entire index is up around 7.28%. That is 100% invested. Okay, so I'm utilizing maybe 1/3 to half of the portfolio, so I have plenty of margin, plenty of buying power when I see good opportunities. But to generate this without really owning any stock and basically trading options, keeping up with the benchmark, and obviously if the benchmark declines, like that, let's say next week that the market's down 1%, I will generate profit next week in that 1% decline, while the index is going to lose a full percent out of this year to date. So each week, I mean, good, bad, and different, I typically outperform the benchmark. And the hedge funds are my competitors. But if you look at the history of hedge funds, it's high fees, it's low transparency, and it's typically underperformance. Just so you know.
Yes, I know.
Yep.
All right. Good stuff, buddy. I will talk with you in a second.
All right. Thanks.
All right. So now we have James. Let's see if James is ready. James, are you there?
I am, and I'm born ready. I stay ready so I don't get ready. You know what I mean?
Are you a master?
No. This is for the Masters golf tournament.
Oh, okay. I thought you.
I'm a master at trading, a master at economics. I got my masters, and I do it all. What can I say?
There you go. All right. Well, it's your time to help us to understand what we need to know in economics.
Absolutely. So Chris already talked a little bit about the, four central bank rates. Now, what those are is they drive currency markets. Now, I'll just tell you through getting my MBA, one of the connections that I have is he is a trader he's over the FX department for Chase Bank. And, that's not just some, little outfit. And one of the things that I learned from him as a mentor mentee is that central bank rates are what interest rates are what drives the Forex market and what they trade on. So their trading decisions are based on how they are going to hedge themselves against currency movement. Now, a very, very interesting thing that has gone on is in Bank of Japan. Governor Ueda has talked about raising interest rates, coming off of the 0%, ending their quantitative easing program, which they have started ending that already. And their stock market is just formed an all-time high and is beginning to turn over, as well as their inflation is consistently above 2.5%. This is very, very, very important to their central bank rate policy. It's more of a when they will raise interest rates, not a if they will raise interest rates now. And so I'm not looking for March to be that day. It could be. I'm more so looking for June, July to be that day as well. Now, conversely, here in the United States, we are looking on Wednesday, March 20th at the FOMC, or Federal Open Markets Committee, federal funds rate decision. That's going to be coming out at around 2 to 2:30 p.m. That's when you're going to see a lot of volatility in the Forex market. You're going to see probably crypto, gold, and many, many pairs being affected as well. Now, again, the expectation is that rates will hold. More so, they probably will hold, especially with really the real unemployment numbers that came out last week or 2 weeks ago, and how inflation came out, that it's not rising at the same rate, but it's not where they want it to be. So again, I'm looking for more so of a cut in that June, July timeframe, mid-year, and that will probably be a test, and then it will be, a bigger cut later. However, the press conference at 2:30 p.m. on Wednesday, that's going to be where he will outlay kind of his thoughts. And he will also answer questions, and people will be asking the question on when do you anticipate the next rate cut, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he will, if there is a timetable, one thing about Jerome Powell is he will give you not the exact day, obviously, not the exact month, because then the market would price it in, but he'll say, I could foresee that happening in the second half of this year, or something to that effect. He'll dance around it a little bit, because they're all politicians at the end of the day, and then he will go in for the real, the answer will be within that. You also have Switzerland as well. You have manufacturing rates coming out of Europe, and then Great Britain as well. Again, Great Britain, I don't think inflation is way too high there for them to do anything with their interest rates. And same goes for Europe. So they're kind of in this kind of stuck scenario. And then on Friday, Jerome Powell is speaking again this Friday. So a packed week of fundamental news that will really drive FX markets, but also stock markets as well. And really, last thing is, we saw a 5% drop in Bitcoin. That's more than likely some of the institutional money taking profit. I can speak intelligently about JP Morgan Asset Management. I know that they turned on the ability to buy Bitcoin with client money at $67,000. That's where they turned it on. What you probably got is a lot of individuals saying, hey, look, I'm break even, or I'm a little bit of profit. I want out, and I would just put me back in something else, which, is what it is. And that's probably why we saw that 5% drop there, and many, many advisory firms all around that same time were at that point beginning to offer these products. So that's why you're probably seeing a little bit of the market turning over before I won't say expect, I suspect that the market will hit, especially Bitcoin, will hit that $100,000 mark within the next, I'll say 6 to 12 months. And then I think we get another pullback to what mining costs were, which when it was at 67, I was like, look, I'm anticipating this down to 15 to 17 because that's what mining costs are. Mining costs today are somewhere between 20 and 35. Will it get that low again? Perhaps. But I think, this is where you follow the news, follow the information, follow what's relevant to you, and then you have to make the best decisions for yourself as well. But that's really all I have for news-wise.
So let me ask you, when are you going to start your insurance webinars?
So I'm anticipating starting them. Let me bring up a calendar here. set up kind of some dates here. I anticipate like the first kind of test run, probably with yourself and a smaller webinar to make sure everything goes smoothly towards the end of this month. And then starting in April, after Easter, we will more than likely get those started and run them, once a week or so, once every 2 weeks. We got to find the right amount of time, but I'll get with you on the actual first date and we will get that kicked off.
Yeah, I mean, it's just important. Like, even if we just record it and put it back on the Core 4 show, so people can go back and see it week after week after week, it's really about helping people get to know you and helping people to get to understand what is it that they can do, that either it's protecting their loved ones or it's trying to figure out a way to manage their investment with less risk. There's lots of different ways that we can look at this. And just the idea that we could have you talk about that as a subject matter expert is powerful, because I tell people, you want to be a subject matter expert, you want to be the best version of yourself, and you also want to surround yourself with people who inspire you. And so this gives us an opportunity as the Core 4 community to do all three of those things. So thank you. And
Thank
we'll
you.
this up.
All right.
All right, guys. So the next thing that we go into is, what is the Core 4 report? There are three things that we do here at Core 4 to provide us with the best possible tools to make money. And so we report as a testimony the success that I'm having, and we also are going to start reporting the success that other people are having in this particular space. So we do three things. We do the Forex market, which our Forex signals, we are up right now about 700 pips currently. And that's great. Could we be up 7,000? Could we be up 700,000? Probably not. Probably nobody is. But at the end of the day, we are net positive, which means that if you're doing it properly, you are making money. So the cost of that is we have a Telegram channel. That Telegram channel allows you to be able to get calls on an instant basis. And then we also have a spreadsheet that you'll be able to actually look at that will kind of go through long-term predictions. And so the Ghost Protocol team, they're looking for the best trades for themselves. And we get a chance to see that. And then if we make a decision that we want to do it on our own, then we can then follow those trades for ourselves. Very simple, very easy, very cost effective, very efficient. You're welcome. Number two, we do binary options. We have two tremendous coaches, Coach Vaughn, who you'll hear from first, and then also Coach India. They offer a course, and that course allows you to be able to basically learn what it is that they are doing. They have two different styles of presenting the analysis for how they have determined whether or not they're going to get into a particular trade. And then you learn that particular style, and then you can see why they get the success that they get. Coach Vaughn and I got 18% this week. That's just incredible. And then finally, we have Eric Majors and yield farming, which I love. It's a little bit more complicated in terms of understanding how it works. You're the bank, all the rest of the stuff, understanding pairs. The course is so simple. Yes, you look at the videos, you just do it. And then Eric is giving you guys an idea of what he's trading. If you guys want to see what I'm in, you guys will be able to look at that, and then you'll learn. So the complicated part is just kind of jumping in and rewiring your mind and your thinking. But after that, then yield farming is just as good as binary options, just as good as Forex. But guess what? You keep the money in your wallet. So today we're going to talk to Coach Vaughn first. Coach, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, doing good, man.
I just wanted to take time. I know usually we kind of just have a little bit of fun, and people are really getting a chance to get to know you, but I want them to get to know what the course is like. Could you describe very briefly so people can understand what the course is, how many hours you think that they will be like studying the course, and then after they finish studying the course, when they would be able to get into their first trades? Do they start with a demo account first, or do they go right in?
Okay, sure. So it's a binary options masterclass, and it is 9 modules. Right now, each module lasts between 5 minutes to 15 minutes, and it's a comprehensive course on binary options trading. And the interesting thing about this is this course has already been selling, right? And it just doesn't. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me, to be the way that you're pouring into people, Brandon, the way that Chris is pouring into people, James, and all that. It just, it doesn't make sense how we could be pouring so much into people and then having, at least on my end, little to no response.
Yeah.
And that, frankly, that's not going to work. Right. That's just not going to work. So the course is already selling well. The course is beautiful. Right. I mean, I don't think that a group of our level needs to have like 2 binary options coaches, bro. That would be like me trying to sell universal life insurance policies and starting to compete with James. It's just not a smart business move. So what I would like to do probably in the future is if I don't receive some sort of feedback from the Core 4 team or clients or people who are watching these videos this week, then I'm going to just go ahead and, pursue maybe doing something where I can come on and talk about the course like a guest, right? Rather than coming back week after week, because I don't want to beat a drum and for no reason at all, because that's just not the way that I do business. And I don't think that's the way that business should be done. In Core 4, we're a family, right? And if we're a family, we ought to be able to act like a family, right? And so that would be, and this would be me just being flat out, just brutally honest with everybody. It's like, hey, I'm doing a lot of work here, guys, and we need to see some results. And I need to see some results from you guys. Right. And if I don't, then, hey, if my work's not appreciated here, yay, good luck. Right. Best of luck to you in life, but this is definitely, I mean, the course is fire. Ask yourself this: how much money do you need to make a day to have a good, solid, happy existence? Now, I know people might be like, oh, well, Vaughn, I need $1,000 a day or $2,000 a day. Man, get on out of here with that. Get out my face with that. How much do you're telling me you need $300,000 a year to have a decent life? Okay, whatever. But if you need to, like, if you want to be reasonable and say, hey, I could do 500 a day, that'd be really good. Yeah. Or I could, I could live off of 400 a day. I mean, 400 a day tax free, not too bad. Right. Well, that's all that I need, right, to take somebody to that place. And I've got receipts, I've got testimonials, all that stuff. And, it's all here, guys. It's all here, but it's time to either, I don't want to say it that way, but yeah, but anyway, back to you, Coach.
So here's the deal. So I push back that if you go to Harvard, there's 2 math classes, there's 2 people teaching English classes, and all the rest of the stuff. I think what you've done in terms of your success in this, I mean, you've definitely proven that you're the Michael Jordan of binary options, and I love it. But what I'll also say is that, unfortunately, the community has not responded, and they have not said, hey, I'm embracing binary options, and 2,000 people are running. Like,
right.
They're still, and I'm going to talk about this at the end of the show, they're still running to platforms, to crypto platforms, and not taking control for themselves.
I'm getting a lot of sales, brother. I'm getting a lot of sales from my own personal people, my own personal course. And I just don't understand why I'm getting it and then we're not getting it here. But we'll talk about that more later. It's all good.
But whatever that reason is, maybe the community that we're attracting is not the type of community that is looking for courses. I don't know. But you're right. So unfortunately, in this community has been fractured from all the stuff. Like, I'll never join another crypto platform again in life. It just won't happen. And so maybe that community is also afraid, and they need to get to know and, maybe it takes 6 months, maybe it takes a year before they pull the trigger. And maybe the community that you have that's outside of this, maybe they've been successful in a different space, which makes them more open. So
yeah. Could be that, bro. Could be that, bro. But listen, as long as there's sin in the world, gambling, women, drugs, crypto is still going to be good. So crypto is going to be around. Crypto ain't going anywhere.
Not crypto programs. Thank you, Coach. Talk to you later. All right. So now we're going to bring on Coach India. And Coach India is doing a fantastic job. She has a totally different system, a totally different approach, a totally different way of trading binary options, and she's successful with it. The whole goal is to be consistent. The whole goal is to be present. The whole goal is to be stable and to present the material in a way that people can understand it and digest it. And so, Coach India, how are you?
I'm well, Brandon. How are you?
Good. So I am glad to have two coaches, and I'll be fine if we just have one coach. Okay. So however it works out is how it works out. We want to make sure I look at things as a trainer. I don't expect kids to be able to, or athletes to be able to understand what it is that I'm teaching or how I'm expressing myself or whatever the first week, the first month, the first year. That's just not, I don't think that's good for anybody. I think what is good, and you as a basketball player, you know this, that over time, there's a relationship that's developed with the community, and then you start to trust that community, you start to embrace it, and then next thing you know, you can be successful and you can see your dreams come true. Yes. One of the things that I tell my kids that I'm training and that I'm teaching is that they have to see others successful doing it first. Mm-hmm. And in seeing them doing it, you do see Michael Jordan, if you do see Steph Curry, you see that it's possible. Mm-hmm. And then those kids can then emulate that, see some success. And just like Steph Curry saw those that were before him that were great shooters, then he was able to take it to another level of mastery. Yep. And so you can't do that by thinking that there's just one gun in the holster. There's got to be more. Absolutely. So you have something you want to share. So let me add that to the stage. Yes. So this is how your weekly, this was a great weekly percentage.
Yes. So this week, I have a free setup call. So basically I share what the trades that I'm taking throughout the week. And I put them in a chat and I show the results. And so with those setup signals that I've been sending out, basically I've gotten an 83.7% winning rate. So everybody's risk management is different. So basically, if somebody's risking 1%, they might have achieved maybe 20% for the week versus somebody who's risking, let's say 2% per trade, they might have reached about 10 to 15% for that week. So I like to show the winning rate because, like I said, everybody's risk appetite is different. And so I always like to, like you said, you have to, like you tell your children, you have to first see if that person is successful and then see if you want to emulate what they're doing. And so I always like to have transparency and let people see what I'm doing before they decide if they want to work with me or not. And so that's why I made the setup channel free, because I want people to have that information. And if they decide to move forward, of course, the course is at bluechipsacademy.com. And whoever is a Core 4 member, instead of paying $750 for the course, they just put in the discount code, which is Core 4, and they will get a discount and only pay $500. And so I think it's so important to have different teachers, because certain people learn in different ways. So, for instance, like you like to typically mention Michael Jordan, right? So, of course, we know that basketball was my history. But really, it was Allen Iverson that I emulated when I was younger. So when you see different variations of success, it attracts more people. And at the end of the day, our goal is to give as many options to as many people as possible so they can receive success. And the most valuable part of this whole process is, like you said, building relationships over time. We're not expecting everybody to basically change their way of thinking overnight. It takes time. And because it takes time, we're here every week to show up to let you all know that this is what we're doing and this is where we're headed. So that's pretty much it.
So, and that's the thing. Eric is not here today. Eric is actually on travel, and so he's flying back home, so he won't be on the show. But I will say from the yield farming, I've been very impressed. I mean, this week I've done over 10% in yield farming. It's just, I don't even understand it, right? And so you don't want to say that binary options is gambling. You don't want to say that. You want to turn it into investing. And so the results that you're getting are just fantastic. And, I'm totally proud of what you guys are doing with this and how you guys have set up your courses. Vaughn's course is fantastic. Your course is fantastic. And so it just comes down to, who you get to know on the show and however else, you're getting it and taking advantage of the opportunity. We all want to be successful, but what I want to do, and the reason why I coach basketball is not because I'm still a player, is because I want to basically pour into the lives of other people some of the things that I've learned and some of the things that I will learn, and then let them see it. Like last night, I thought of skill sets that I wanted to teach the teams that I was working with today. So yeah, I haven't taught those teams. I don't even know. I haven't taught those teams probably in the last, that skill set in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And so, but it's so valuable to be able to have that connection to the game where I can spontaneously think of something and then know that I can articulate it.
Yeah.
And why is that important? It's important because when we're actually out here in the community, I just want people to do well.
Yep.
And I don't care who learns it, because it's going to help improve the whole community for basketball. And obviously it's going to help myself feel better about what it is that I'm doing in my contribution. Because if I'm successful, everybody's successful.
Exactly.
So thank you, India.
No problem.
All right. So guys, listen, we're going to make some changes. And so those changes would be for everyone to be happy. We want Coach Vaughn to be happy. And so he's obviously not happy, and he feels like the Core 4 community should be buying the course and flipping over backwards. I mean, 18% this week is ridiculous. And that was with only one trading day. And so if you guys want that level of education, then it's available to you. If you guys are not ready for that education, that's fine. And if Coach Vaughn wants to basically offer his course wherever he's offering it now at a rate that's more, because I know he charges less for the course with us, then I get that. You guys have to get that too. And so if you guys missed the boat, you guys can contact Coach Vaughn and take the course. You guys also have the opportunity with Coach India to take the course from her and also receive the same level of professionalism that we would expect any of our coaches to give to our clients and our team. So now let's talk a little bit about how to break ourselves from the 9 to 5. I'm going to be reading some things to you guys. Americans aged 30 to 49 are most susceptible to investment fraud. And this is according to an FBI report. People in the U.S. lost $4.57 billion in fraud in 2023. Most were from crypto scams. So complaints and losses from investment scams have both skyrocketed over the past years for complaints and also losses. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. Why is it that there were 6,654 complaints related to crypto investment scams last year? What is happening to us that we are allowing ourselves to be subject to giving our money to other people and we won't learn ourselves? What does that look like? Like, do you think that you can just let somebody else play basketball for you and then you get the rewards? No, you've got to learn it on your own. And so there's never a place and a time where if you're not in control and minding your own business, that you're going to be successful. So to break yourself from your 9 to 5 means to develop a skill set that you can utilize that may take you some time to learn, that you will then have to trust yourself. And that's where mindset comes in. But what do I mean by trusting yourself? See, we put the blame on everything else. So if we don't like how much we weigh, we're not willing to necessarily do what it takes from a food perspective or from physical activity, but we want different results. So we get to prove to ourselves by not doing it, by letting another day slip away, or I'll start next week, or whatever other excuse we give. And we allow that to be what drives us for our lack of success. But we have just proven to ourselves that we can't do it. So let's say it has something else to do. Let's say it has something to do with the way that you're running your life. It doesn't matter. If you're proving to yourself by not doing the things, if you were supposed to read a book or you didn't read a book, or you could have read a book that would have helped you to understand something better, but you allowed something else to get in your way. Just by the mere fact that you lost that time, you've proven to yourself that you're not capable. And you have to break that. You have to accept it. We're moving to a very extreme liberal country, and accepting different ideologies, different belief systems, different mannerisms, different everything. And that's all fantastic. But that doesn't give you the right to not believe in yourself that you can do it. The stuff that Vaughn was talking about people not taking advantage, he's frustrated. He's probably frustrated because he's not helping enough people. Well, that's fine. If you guys don't want the help, that's one thing. But if you don't recognize that you're in your own way, then here's an opportunity for us to talk about it. And how do you get out of your own way? By starting to prove to yourself that you can be trusted. By doing the things that help your body, that help your mind, that helps your spirit, that you set goals that are actually starting today and not in the future. And so by doing that over and over and over again, you will give yourself permission to fail, because you're not going to be perfect, but you're going to prove to yourself that you can do it and be consistent, and you can hold yourself accountable. And all I'm asking you to do as a coach, the same thing that I'm asking all of my students to do, is just to practice. Believe in yourself. Don't give up. And if you give up, recognize why you gave up. Hold yourself accountable to that and get out there and do it again. So I think that, yes, you need rest. I think, yes, you need the right food in your systems. You need the right health. I say, yes, you need the right environment. So if you're in a toxic environment, you're not going to be successful. You have to make sure that you're in a success-driven environment where you can thrive. And so I'm telling you all of this because when I read that article, it really drove home the fact that at my age, 53, I took advantage, or I was taken advantage of, or whatever you want to call it. I thought that I was giving my family a better opportunity by investing in these programs. And I thought, why would I do this myself? Why wouldn't I give my money to somebody else to do this? And the truth of the matter is what I should have been saying is, let me vet this, and then let me figure out how I can do this myself. Keep my money in my pocket. And if I had done that, then there would be millions that would have been attainable. And so we all now are starting over. And the Core 4 community that's starting over with me, guess what? We have a bright future ahead of us. Because the way that I've structured this whole organization for Core 4 is so that you would understand mindset, which is what we're dealing with and talking about now. Retirement, which is what we have Chris on. We have corporate structure, which we have James. And so we also have our investments. And so that's where you have, of course, your coaches. So everything is here for you. The idea is whether or not you're going to take advantage of it, or you're going to feel guilty because you feel like you were taken advantage of. Whichever place you decide to sit, you're right. I didn't expect us to be on the call for this long. I'm happy we were. I hope that these words will inspire you, that it's not really about buying the course as much as it is about buying into the community of people that believe in holding their money themselves in their wallets, and growing anyway. But isn't that what we need to do with every single thing that we do in life? We need to understand how it works and not be dependent, because that's when we have fear and that's when we're afraid. So I'm not here to hold your hand. I'm not here to give you a quick kick, whatever. What I'm here to do is to tell you what my results are, what I'm doing, what the people in my community are doing, and what you can do too. And with that being said, I want to tell you guys, we're going to sign off early. I love you whether you like it or not. I appreciate every minute that you give of your time to learn about what we're doing here, because it is going to take time to reprogram the way that you think. And so we'll be here next week, the week after that, and the week after that. So we have a summit coming up, a meetup in June. Join us. Meet the people that are there that are being successful. Stop looking for the pie in the sky. Stop looking for everybody else to do dirty work for you. And let's roll up our sleeves and have some fun and do it the Core 4 way. Thank you and good night.